Hey, I'm Jordan Matter. I am on Miami Beach for Shutterbug magazine with a beautiful model to show you how many different ways you can use your nifty 50 to get some awesome photos. A lot of times you don't feel like carrying around all your gear, especially if you're trekking on the beach, into the ocean. You just want one lens. My choice is the 50mm f1.8. It's inexpensive and it's a great all-purpose lens. Usually when I teach a 3-day workshop, the first day is dedicated to just using a 50mm lens. And what I found is it frees up the photographers immensely because they're no longer worried about which lens to choose, and instead they're thinking purely composition. If you want to do a beautiful portrait, set it on f1.8 and put the autofocus on the eye closest to the lens and shoot away. Try shooting an environmental portrait with your 50mm at f1.8 and then shoot it again with the 200mm at f2.8. What you'll see is with the zoom, it compresses the background and blurs it out to such an extent that you can't get the context. The 50 will still blur out the background, but you get a much better feeling for the environment around the subject. Here's a really cool trick for your 50mm lens. Take it off, turn it around, and it can become a macro lens. You're gonna have to get really close to your subject in order to get the image in focus, and you're gonna have to move your body. Suddenly you're manually focusing, but not with your hands. You're using your body to move forward and back until the detail comes into focus. Sports photography, dance photography, your kid is running around in circles and you want to stop that action. Sometimes the 50mm lens is the best way to go with that. If you're trying to use a kit lens, it's not going to be fast enough because it's going to go to f5.6. You can't let enough light in to get the shutter speed high enough and the ISO low enough to stop the action. I ask Marie to put her head down and then flick it back while she's doing an arabesque. And I know that her foot, her dress, and especially her hair are going to be going extremely fast. To stop that action and make it sharp, I'm gonna need a shutter speed of at least 1/2000th of a second. Now, if I'm using a kit lens at f5.6, I'm not gonna be able to get that, but at f2.8, I can. Conditions when you shoot are not always perfect. The subject might run towards you, might run away, you might need to suddenly change your angle, go low, go high. If you've got a bulky lens, it's really hard to be agile. You may be shooting in excessive winds or, as I am, getting smashed by waves. The lighter weight your lens, the easier it is to hold your camera steady. A lot of the best shots come right after a mistake. Marie hits a beautiful pose in the ocean and then she gets taken down by a huge wave, and it's a really fun moment. Her reaction is priceless and I want to shoot it. She stands up, she's perfectly composed, but as she moves closer to me, if I'm shooting her at 200mm, she's going to be out of focus and out of the frame as soon as she moves. The 50mm allows me to keep her in the frame and the composition is still beautiful. You cannot construct that kind of spontaneity, but you want your lens to be able to keep up with it. It gets suddenly dark on Marie, but I haven't gotten the shot yet. I'm also asking her to kick her leg up, which requires I freeze the action, which means I need a high shutter speed and it's dark, so I have to shoot that at f1.8. The wider open the lens, the more light it allows in, the more it enables you to shoot in the dark. With a kit lens, you're done at dusk. With a 50mm at f1.8, you can keep shooting into the dark. That was a lot of fun. I just usually have so many lenses with me wherever I go, and this time I just had the nifty 50, and the shots were fantastic. All you need is a great model and a 50mm lens and you can get a ton of awesome shots.